Greetings, ladies and metal-gents, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Suma's POV.
Actually, we have... His life force is 500 Kelma and about 60 Delma. He also has a mana reservoir of 915,
I told them. They both stood in stunned silence, probably deciding if they actually believed such staggering figures.
How?
How? One pack wondered. Vindicta stayed quiet for a moment longer. She seemed to be deep in thought.
Suma, I don't mean to, it's just,
She stopped herself, like she regretted saying anything in the first place.
What is it?
I asked.
There are rumors.
I didn't believe them, not until you said,
but I want you to know that I don't care about them, even if they are true, she stuttered out. Rumors? What rumors? I questioned.
I don't want, and I don't mean to be, she tried to say, but Von Pack cut her off. She means the rumors about your familiar, Jake, being a Viking. I was stunned. How could anyone have known? I never told anyone. I'm fairly certain Jake hadn't either.
That's not... He isn't... There's more to it, then,
I started, then stopped and sighed.
Look, it's not what you think. So, he is a Viking, then?
Vindicta said.
Not exactly,
I said. Is he, or isn't he? It can't be that difficult, Von Pack declared. I decided to explain the way Jake explained it to me.
The Vikings aren't a race of people. They were a culture, a way of life, one that was abandoned long ago.
Jake isn't descended from them. At least, he doesn't think he is, I explained. He doesn't know? Von Pack asked. I should have expected such a question from him. To nobles, lineage is a matter of pride, and thus it is strictly catalogued, and records are well preserved, even as far back as the Ravaging, that being the near-extinction event caused by the Chaos Dragon.
To these people, lineage is less important. Only royals and nobility worry about it, apparently, I told them. According to Jake, where you are from is more important than who you are descended from in most places.
How strange, Von Pack said.
So, what you're saying is, he's the same species, but he isn't actually a Viking,
Vindicta said.
Yes,
I said simply.
Well,
that explains his aptitude for magic. His people must be, Von Pack said. But I cut him off.
Magic doesn't exist on his world.
They both fell, dead silent.
What do you mean?
Vindicta finally asked after a long while.
According to Jake, magic has never existed on his world before. At least, not in any confirmed cases. But he says there are stories of people who could use it, but that he had always just assumed that they were untrue tales passed down from ancient times, I explained.
How does the world even do anything without magic? Von Pack wondered. I couldn't blame them for not understanding. I still had trouble wrapping my mind around it as well.
In truth, I'm not sure I could explain that. I'm not even sure I understand it, I said.
With unimaginable amounts of manpower, violence, and ingenuity, Jake said, rolling over, causing all of us to become surprised and our feathers to stand on end for a moment. Jake's point of view. By the dragons! Von Pack shouted and beat his wings, causing him to flutter back slightly.
Did we wake you?
Vindicta asked. Yeah, but it's fine, I said.
How long have you been awake?
Suma asked. Since you asked about the rumors of me being a Viking, I told her.
Sorry,
Vindicta said mournfully. It's fine. I can't blame you for being curious, I said. But now that you know the truth, how do you feel?
You have been nothing but kind to me. You gave me a name, and you were attacked by those echo beasts, making sure that we all got to safety. I have nothing but gratitude towards you, Jake,
Vindicta said. Hearing her say that put me at ease. I was worried she would be afraid or hate me. The Niema view Vikings as monsters, so I wasn't sure how deeply ingrained that would be. And you? I asked, turning to Von Pack. The noble stayed quiet for a moment, perhaps pondering his own opinions, but he did eventually give an answer. I held judgment until given cause to be concerned. Well, it is true I don't care for your lax attitudes towards nobles. I do know one thing. You are a good soul. You have the power of a dragon, the potential ability to use the most devastating magic my world has ever seen, the strength of a monster, and all you have done with these things is join the army and try help your master fulfill her desires to become a healing mage. I have seen and undergone enough over the last hours to make me reconsider some previously held notions. I will leave it at that for now, Bonpack stated. I appreciated his honesty, but the way he spoke made it feel like he considered me some kind of world-ending event. I decided to let it be for now, and instead changed the subject. So, should we head down the mountain?
No. We think that it would be best to wait up here for the night, then head back down in the morning, Zuma explained.
Well, we better get some firewood then. That way I don't have to maintain the spell all night, I suggested.
Okay, Vindicta said, but, what is firewood?
I sighed. It was going to be a long night atop this mountain. End of chapter. Chapter 63. Suma's POV.
Turns out,
firewood is exactly what it sounds like. Wood specifically cut to be burned in a fire.
It feels like we are preparing for some kind of strange ritual, Vindicta pointed out,
as she released her mana and let the bundle of logs Jake had cut with magic fall to the ground. He had found a tree that looked dry enough, then used some kind of beam of magic energy to remove the branch and cut it into smaller sections.
I know what you mean,
Bonpack said, as he carefully arranged the wood into a pattern Jake described beforehand.
I can't say that I've ever had to do anything like this before. And, he cast that magical spell without uttering a word, Vindicta said. You must have taught him well if he can use shadow casting despite not having magic in his world. I didn't teach him a thing, in fact. I think he has probably taught me more about shadow casting than I could have ever taught him,
I said from my perch. My job was to be on lookout while everyone was working, just in case.
What do you mean?
Vindicta said. Jake taught himself shadow casting. In truth, I'm not sure I have ever heard him utter a single incantation, I told him.
I should be surprised at that, but I am not,
Bonpack said as he lit the small pile of wood aflame. Even from my perch I could feel the heat begin to increase.
Hot!
He exclaimed, and fluttered back sharply, landing on another stack of wood behind him.
How does he cast such powerful magic then?
Vindicta wondered.
He has his ways of imagining the spells and their effects, but also their processes. I would liken it to the way the rune crafter works, I explained. Does that mean that he can craft runes?
Bonpack asked.
He thought about learning, but didn't have time before we left for training, I said.
Vindicta's point of view. Suma, Bonpack, and I were perched around the flames talking. The warm glow of the fire seemed to illuminate in a way that Jake's fireball just could. The fireball was more of a penetrating brightness, but this was more like a living being. It flickered and popped occasionally at the base, surprising each time. Vindicta, I have some more logs ready, Jake called out from a short distance away. I left the warm flame, and as soon as I did, I noticed something I hadn't before. How cold the mountain was. It hadn't bothered me before, but now that I felt so warm and comfortable, the cold bit in my feathers. I wonder, had I felt like this earlier, and just not known enough to care or realize? Or had it really not affected me before? I landed beside Jake's pile of logs and wrapped my mana, what little I had, around them to pick them up. That should be enough for the night, Jake said, and picked up a few logs himself. We went over to the fire and dropped our logs a short distance away, then perched around the warming, golden and sky-orange flames again. Ah, that feels good, Jake said, sitting on a rock that he had rolled over earlier. He was rather close to it, though. I actually worried that he might get burned, but he seemed content. Aren't you guys going to get closer?
Are you kidding me? Bonpack scoffed. I can barely stand the heat from this distance.
We'd all perched 2 or 3 times further away than Jake, due to the heat. Despite the fact that I was enjoying it, I couldn't bear to draw any nearer. Jake's POV. Once the campfire was built up enough, I dispelled the fire. That left only the orange glow of the burning wood to light up the area. We all sat, all perched in their cases, and talked for a while. As we did, I would watch the fire to make sure that it was getting enough oxygen by wrapping mana around certain logs and maneuvering them into better positions.
So, Jake, what is your world like?
Podpack asked. It's pretty different from your world. For starters, we don't have magic, I told him.
Yes, Sumo mentioned that earlier. But what else makes it so different?
He wondered. Well, for one, our sky is a different color. Yours is orange, but ours is a faded light blue, he said.
Blue? Why is it blue?
Benedicta asked, confused. Why is yours orange? I counted.
I guess I don't know, she said.
Our skies are the colors they are because of the gases that make them up. I don't know what makes up your world's air, but my world's, Earth, is mostly oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, as well as several others. The specific mixture of all of these gases diffuses more blue light than anything else. So our sky looks blue, and yours looks orange, I explained. They all seemed lost.
I'm sorry, I don't understand,
Benedicta stated. Podpack's point of view. We perched around the flames, listening to Jake attempt to explain something far beyond my comprehension. But, by the dragons, there was no way I would ever admit that to them. Instead, I tried a different tact.
Perhaps we should switch back to the original question, I offered.
Oh, right, sorry, I can really go off on tangents when it comes to science, Jake said apologetically. He thankfully went back to detailing what his home, Earth, as he called it, was like. To me, it sounded both like a utopia and like torture. He described a world where the dangerous and deadly diseases were being cured daily, where hunger and war were all but eliminated, and where most people didn't concern themselves with survival, but with enjoying their lives. However, he also told us of his people's long and violent history of weapons more powerful than anything shy of grand-scale tactical magic. And perhaps most horrifying, of his people's switch from noble ruling class to elected leaders. For a moment, I felt sick. End of chapter. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I would just quickly like to give thanks to our Tier 5 members: Elithia, Barky, Feudicuel, Meridian117, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Albarden Gusta, Savage Patch Papa, and Lord Azrakal.